Reading Rich Dad Poor Dad had put me on a path because it was all the words I needed to hear at the time.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Seven Figure Journey podcast, where we will be discussing the struggles and lessons learned along the journey of a seven-figure entrepreneur. It's my great pleasure to welcome our guest today, Cory Nemoto with Keiko Capital. Cory, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much, John, for having me.
You bet. We're excited to learn a little bit more about you and about your company. So without further ado, let's just dive right in. Hey, as a small business owner, as an entrepreneur, please share with us your story. Maybe share a few key lessons learned along the way, but we want to hear, where you started from, where you've gotten to. Ultimately, just share with us your journey.
Awesome. Well, thank you for letting me tell my story. And it has been quite the journey. This is my 14th year, I guess, in business. And I started in 2011. I was in Southern California, Riverside, California. I was finishing my last year of college at Cal Baptist University, and I had all the feelings of anxiety. This is 2011, because I I didn't know what I wanted to do after. My degree was in exercise science, and I ended up getting a minor in marketing because I was trying to delay the graduation time. It took me 7 years to get my 4 year degree, so
There you
I was
go.
a career student for a little while. And that last year was really it gave me a lot of anxiety because I didn't know what I wanted to do. I spent all this money on college and education, and had this realization that like I didn't want to be a physical therapist, and spend so many years and so much money. And it turns out like not only did I not want to be a physical therapist, but I kind of had feelings that like I didn't want to work at all, and that was
There you
new
go.
to me, because I'm not a lazy person by any means. If anything, I'm the opposite. I'll work myself into the ground. But then I realized that yeah, I didn't want to have a career in physical therapy, so I was getting really anxious about it. My father was telling me for years to read Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki because I think he's seen the entrepreneur spirit in me. And so picked up the book, read it, and called him back, and I was like, "Dad, read the book. Yeah, so I think I'm done with school. Like I'm done. I'm out of this. And he was like, "Whoa!" And he told me, finish the last year and then see how you feel. So I ended up finishing. I got my degree, and I'm very proud of it. It holds, dear to my heart, but still to this day, I haven't used it. So there is other paths, I learned, and
Right.
but that reading Rich Dad Poor Dad had put me on a path because it was all the words I needed to hear at the time. That it's okay to feel like you're different and you want to chase a different path. And so in the book, Robert says to take action, like go to your local real estate investors, meetup. And so Rich Dad Poor Dad is a book on entrepreneurship, but he talks a lot about real estate investing. So I did that, went to the local RIA club and kind of hung out, got myself a couple mentors, and they worked for them for a year for free, just door knocking. And this was in 2011, 2012. So to this day, I haven't been throughout my 14-year career in real estate, I haven't been through a major housing recession. I came in at 2011, 2012, if you remember, especially in Arizona. I don't know if you were there at that, or you guys are in Arizona, right?
Right, right.
Yeah. So uh, I land went to zero in some markets, and so I didn't catch the ride down, but I did see the aftermath. I was door knocking in the depths of the recession, and it wasn't pretty. I had I had everything, man. I had the angry people, like slamming their door, cursing
Right.
at me, dogs chasing me, barking at me. So the first year was very hard, and it tested me a lot. But it really gave me all the tools I feel to carry me through the rest of my career. It was one of my biggest years of growth, I feel, and I had the right mentor at the time. His name was Anthony, and he wasn't easy on me. He didn't tiptoe around my feelings, and all the lessons early is like, he didn't say this, but what his words kind of equated to, I find out later, is that no one's gonna come do it for me, and no one's gonna
Right.
come save me. And if I really want to do this, then it's up to me. And like, we don't do this alone. Business, we don't do this alone, but no one's gonna do it for you, right? And so he told me, I never forget. It was pretty dramatic. The first meeting I had with him, I was so nervous, and he said, "Why real estate?" And I couldn't answer him because for some reason, I didn't want to tell him that I read a little purple book, and that's why
Right.
I'm here. So I couldn't answer. He saw me struggling, so he wrote down on a little piece of paper, ripped it out, shoved it across the table to me, and he said, "If it's for any of these two reasons, then this conversation's over, and we'll part as friends, but we can't do business together." And the two words were money and notoriety, or the image of being an entrepreneur or an investor, working for yourself, right? And
Right.
so the notoriety, I was okay. I'm not about that because I'm an introvert. If anything, I'd rather be in the shadows.
There you go.
But the money, I was like, man, I'm kind of here to make money. So like, what am I here for then? And that was the first time somebody asked me what my why was. That's what he was asking me. And so he told me, go home, email, think about it, email me, and we'll see. If I think it was a good fit, we'll call you back. And so I guess my why was good enough. He called me back, and told me what we're gonna do, and basically I was gonna door knock for them, and source leads, prospect for them,
Hmm.
and I did that for about a year, and then I moved after graduating. I moved back home to Hawaii, and on my way back on the flight, I just remember thinking, "Am I making a mistake?" Because it felt like I was getting traction, and building a network and starting to learn this real estate thing after a year of kind of, being very uncomfortable.
Right.
But I realized it wasn't starting over. I ended up coming back home to Hawaii, found a local real estate investors club, and kind of wiggled my way in there, and there's stories there too. But that's really how I kind of got into entrepreneurship and real estate. It started with a book and just my curiosity and my ambition. Even though I still am an introvert to this day, I wanted, my dreams and my ambitions were more powerful than the fear of meeting new people and everything that an introvert goes through.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's awesome. Very cool. And so at that point, what where'd you go? So you spent a year door knocking. Then what'd you do?
So when I moved back, I actually I was offered like a admin assistant job, like volunteer, like it was unpaid, to be the admin guy for the Honolulu, or it's Oahu's mastermind for real estate investors. And in
Okay.
this group, you have to have been an experienced investor. So you have to have done at least one deal, whether you flipped the house, you did a wholesale deal, development, private lending. So at the time, I didn't do any deal. So I wasn't supposed to be in the room, but I was the assistant. And so I realized that was a big lesson for me because I realized that leadership is sacrifice. Like, you're not, yes, you're in the front sometimes, leading from the front, but most of the time you're in the back, empowering, sacrificing, and leading from the back too, right? And so I
Yeah.
realized that even though I was the lowest guy on the totem pole, I didn't do any deal in the room. I provided so much value that I started, by the end of the year, I was doing deals with almost everybody in the room
Oh wow.
because everybody had to know me. The name tags, the scheduling, the calendars. If someone had a question or a problem, they call Cory. And so I built relationships with them. I would just take notes in the meeting when the meeting's going on for myself because it was such a blessing to even be in the room. And
Right.
then I realized, you know what? Why don't I just email this to the entire room because I have the list, right? And And so I sent it out as minutes, and I ended up doing that every meeting, and people loved it because some people couldn't make it, right? So just providing as much value as I could. And I didn't realize at the time what I was doing, but after years of experience, and you start to learn exactly what leadership really is. um, that I realized that that's exactly what happened, is that leadership is giving value and helping, and so if you can find a position like that, even if you have no experience or influence, you'll gain influence quickly, the more you value you give to the people around you, genuinely.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. And then tell us a little bit about your company today. How did that
So
start? Where did you
yeah.
transition to that?
So from that meeting, I ended up doing wholesale deals. I wholesaled my first three deals to a friend and mentor of mine. His name is Jonah. He's out here in Hawaii. He's a real estate developer, an investor, entrepreneur. The first three deals I did with him, I wholesaled it to him. So I basically sold the contract to him, the rights to the property to him, so that he can buy it, and he was going to flip it. So we did three deals together, and when I wholesaled it to him, I made 15,000. I got paid 75, half on the front and half when he sold it, because I
Right.
asked him if I could tag along and be a part of the project, and help him just for free, and it's kind of for free because he was paying me, a fee for it. That was the most money I've ever made at that time, was like 7,500 check. I was like, whoa, like
Yeah.
it was like, bro, I was a broke college kid. So I was super grateful, and I knew I found my place. And that first, Jonah ended up calling me and asking me like, "Hey, I was gonna hire a crew to go and demo the house and throw the trash out." And he said, "But if you want to do it with me, me and you can go in there." I was like, "Yes, absolutely." So we were in there, man, and I was next to him for hours, just stuffing trash bags, ripping things apart, and I got to ask him everything about his story, and learned from him. So I credit Jonah for a lot of the knowledge that I have today in investing, and saying yes to demolishing the house, even though like I do not belong on a site, man. Like I'll hurt myself. Yeah, I'm not good at swinging a hammer or anything like that. So, but when I was demoing the house with him, man, I got so much value, and we ended up doing two more deals together before I ended up kind of going off on my own. Today, now, uh, I've done wholesaling, so I kind of took all the steps in real estate investing that a real estate entrepreneur would take, from door knocking to wholesaling contracts to fix and flip, and then we did ground up development of small residential projects here in Hawaii. And I haven't done this alone. I've never done this alone. I have business partners, and even to this day, I have partners with our company, Keiko Capital. And today, now we're private lenders. So we lend money to real estate investors who are going to buy the houses and flip it, or even we have 30-year rental loans if for investors who are looking to pull some money out or refinance into a long-term 30-year loan.
Huh. Awesome. And how many people do you have on your team currently?
We have 13 now,
Awesome.
so still a
Very
small
cool.
company. We compete nationally though, and it's been a very starting this company changed everything for me. It changed my why, my purpose. Um, because before, flipping houses is like you'll partner with people here and there, but it's unless you're gonna truly try to scale, which it's really hard to scale a house flipping business,
Right.
because there's so many third parties involved, and there's no cash flow. And a
Right.
business needs cash flow, right? So it's very hard to scale a house flipping business. So, and I always felt that flipping houses wasn't really in my nature. I ended up understanding the value of it because you provide many jobs. You turn something ugly into something very, pretty and functional to serve a
Right.
new family, hopefully. Especially here in Hawaii, we're our market is starving for inventory. We live on an island, so there's limited. land
Right.
already. And there's international buyers everywhere, from China, Japan, Australia, Canada, everywhere. Everyone wants a piece of Hawaii, and so when you have extremely high demand and low supply, right, prices go up. So it's in Hawaii, we need more inventory, we need more housing, and so for us, even though it's one house flip, right, you're providing many jobs. I feel like you're stimulating the local economy. You're
Yeah.
providing private lending positions for everyday people to make high rate of returns secured by real estate, so high yield investments that are more secure than most traditional investment vehicles out there. And
Right.
we're able to offer that to local people here, so they can help build their wealth as well alongside. So there's so many great things that come from house flipping. But it wasn't really my passion. I think the results was my passion. My passion, I found, is people, building teams. And even though sometimes it's the biggest headache,
Right.
like man, a lot of lessons there too. But I realized that this is where I want to be. I want to build something that can provide enormous value to the world alongside people who I I love and trust, and give my life for, because
Yeah.
we are a small company still, and we bootstrapped our company. Didn't take any outside seed investment, not till later, and we compete nationally, across the nation, and we're in Hawaii. We're headquartered in Hawaii, so a lot of our partners and the money wakes up Eastern time. So
Right.
we actually have to be in the office by 4 a.m. every morning Hawaii time and rocking and rolling. Otherwise, we'll never close deals.
Right. Right.
So starting this company has truly changed everything for me.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, Cory, thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. What a journey. I hope those who are listening in paid attention to a few of the key things. Like so many out there, I'm sure, going through college, going, I don't know. What do I do? What do I want to do? And then, man, that wake up call of, okay, college is over. Now what? Do I go pursue this career? Do I use this degree? Whatever. And then the intentionality around, hey, you took the advice from somebody that you deeply trust and care about, your father.
Yeah.
And he said, you know what? Your opinion matters to me. I'm going to take your advice. And you read this book, and man, it changed your life. You went in a totally different directory. And I love the intentionality around, okay, if I'm going to get into this, I'm going to get into this. So what do? For a year? You just volunteer. You go and you just start doing the work, putting forth the effort, gaining the experience, learning things, listening to everybody. I hope, again, that people who are listening paid attention. You took every opportunity you had that was given to you during that period of your life, and you said, okay, how can I create the most amount of value in this? What can I learn from this? How can I increase my knowledge, my skill set, my understanding by listening to these people that I'm surrounded with? And then your lesson there of being in on that mastermind and saying, oh wow, look at this another opportunity to learn, and then develop those relationships and move on. Throughout your entire journey, we kept seeing that as a repeat for you. Is guess what? I'm not going to just stand idle. I'm going to take action, and then I'm going to gain as much value as possible. And then one thing that's unique about you, because not everybody's this way, how can I give back that value?
Yeah.
Which is just exceptional. I love your intentionality around that of, hey, you know what? I'm going to create value in every opportunity that I have. And truly that stems from your purpose that you have now for yourself of, hey, I got to do something that's going to make an impact, and then I'm going to create value, because that's going to be my why. That's going to be what gets me out of bed every single morning. That's what's going to keep me motivated and moving forward. So great journey and great example to those out there. So thank you.
Thank you for acknowledging that, John.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And I realized, and that's when I really, like, in our company we call it being a good number two, and because I realized that I've always acknowledged my position. If I was, a mentee, then I was a good mentee. And if I today I have to lead, and so I acknowledge my position and I take on the responsibilities of it, right? And but being a good, but that doesn't, like, today, to this day, I'm still a number two. You always got to take a back seat in some, in some area in your life, I feel. And it's those who always feel they have to be at the front, where people don't follow those people. Like, you have to earn it, and leadership is earned, and it's earned through sacrifice and also showing as example. So a lot of those lessons, I have to go back in my past and pull out, like, lessons and so I can share today, and mistakes I've made too. So
Absolutely. No, and I love that. And I love that concept because it's so true. The difference between being a boss and a leader,
yes,
right? I don't need to be in the limelight. I need to understand that it's we.
yes,
Let's go do this together. I'm going to lead us towards this. Not, hey, go do this thing so that I can be successful, right? The difference between a boss and leader. Love that. All right, well, let's switch gears just a little bit, Cory. So you've shared this journey with us. You told us a bit about where you're at now with your company and how it's continuing to grow, and you're still small. So as you continue to strive to be this leader that you want to be, which you're doing a great job so far, it sounds like, and you're building and developing your team, what's something that you're doing with real time we can have a conversation about?
well, I realized that, and these are new lessons too within the last year, um, that what we're doing is very hard. um, our company is probably one of the, if not the hardest, one of the hardest companies to work for in the private lending space, I'd say. Just because, like, and not just because we're 6 hours behind. I mean, that's already hard,
Right.
for you to take on, this career. It takes sacrifice for a few years. Um, and you have to, like, my first alarm rings at like 2:45 in the morning, and hopefully I'm out of bed by like 3, so I can get ready. I'm in the office by 4, and that's everybody on the team in Honolulu. um,
Right.
and so that alone takes a lot of, I mean, sacrifice. And so I realized, at first I was thinking, man, this sucks, this is a huge disadvantage. Like, how are we going to compete out there? And but then I realized, it's like Marcus Aurelius is one of his famous quotes, right? One of the last great emperors of Rome was, "What stands in the way becomes the way." And
Yep.
so I'm proud to say, like, we turned what was a major disadvantage, our 4 a.m.s, into a major advantage for us, because we realize, like, the people who are going to make those sacrifices are the people we need to build this company and to compete nationally against, companies that are backed by publicly traded companies, or they're large entities, and they got in-house HR, in-house legal,
Right.
and so they have all the resources, to squeeze us out of the market if they wanted to. And fortunately, a lot of them are our partners and our allies, and
There
uh,
you go.
but I still acknowledge our position, and what we need is, we don't. It's not peacetime for us. It's more wartime. We need wartime leadership, guys who are willing to sacrifice and have that grit and resilience to take us to the next level. So the lessons I learned, in leadership, is that you really have to protect the culture. And when we first started, it was commission based pay for the sales team,
Mhm.
and they're our vanguard. Like, they lead us, and like our lives depend on them, right? And like, if they don't wake up, we don't make money. So a lot of the weight is on their shoulders, and they're the heroes of our company. But I realized that it's not for everyone. And one of my mentors, we recently had, uh, former Ivy League school graduate. He was with us for about a year and a half, and very smart guy, very awesome person. He's destined to do great things. And he was great, but it just, a year and a half is so hard to grind for that long. And it wasn't for him, so he left the company. So I had to go back to one of my mentors. I was like, man, I don't know, you know, I how come? You know, here's someone who's high caliber, has high capacity, clearly has done hard things before. If you make it to Harvard, and he was the anchor for their track team, uh, and so. But my mentor Ranson told me, what? He's like, how long was he with you? And he's like, a year and a half. And he's like, two. He said, that's your mistake. He said, you didn't make a mistake giving him a try. He's like, you held on too long. He said, 90 days. You should know both sides. He said, otherwise, um, it's doing both parties a disservice.
Yeah.
So he said, if it takes a lot of grit and resilience and sacrifice, um, you got to hit it hard from the beginning to see if it's worth it for them, if they really want to do this. Like, give them all of it up front. Whereas I was kind of protected, trying to, little by little ease them in.
Right.
And there's no easing into it sometimes. Like, you just got to go and sink or swim, see what you're made of. And a big lesson there. One is, this isn't for everybody, and our doors actually aren't open for everyone. I wish it was, because I feel our vision is noble, and it's something that I would want everyone to be a part of. Because what we're doing here is that, since we are a small company still, until our company becomes a lot more mature, where there's a lot more systems and processes, and we're giving out salaries. We have a hired CEO, perhaps. Those days, I think the team that we have now will be gone. uh,
Right.
and I put that in their minds, is like, especially for the loan officers, our sales team, is that if you're still here because you have to be in 5 years, then we messed up somewhere along the line. Because what I want them to do is, yes, do loans, sell money, right? But also learn, because you're in the crossfires every day. You're doing deals, structuring deals across the nation every day. And so by the time you earn your money, and it's a high income job, um, then you can start to invest yourself, and start buying properties, building a portfolio, so that you can exit out eventually, on
Yeah.
your terms. So that's our vision, is to help use this company as a vehicle for development of, it sounds cheesy and cliche, but for greatness. And that's what I say I'm doing. I'm chasing greatness now. That's my purpose. And that means, like, I'm going to bring as much people along for the ride as possible. And what we do is, private lending. But private lending, I realize, is such a powerful vehicle, because um, you can earn it's high ticket commission sales on repeat with volume. There's across the nation, and there's not
Right.
many gigs out there that are like that. So not only can they earn a lot of money here, but they can learn and develop the characteristics, because they have to be in the office, or be up and awake. They don't have to be in the office, but up and awake closing deals by 4 a.m. Like,
Right.
there's a lot of lessons there that, after they graduate from this company, I want to see the greatness somewhere else. Maybe they start a company, maybe they invest, maybe they, are doing deals, or maybe they run for mayor. I don't know, but make a difference because of what they learned helping us build this company out.
Oh, love that. Absolutely love that. This idea or concept of, hey, our purpose here for our business is not just for the business, but it's also specifically for the employees.
Yep.
Your passion around that you're striving or chasing greatness is awesome. And I wouldn't play that down a little bit. You kind of hesitated when you went into that. It sounds a little cliche. No, hit that with full force. That's
Thank you,
that's
brother.
awesome. If
I
that's if
will.
that's your purpose, that's your purpose.
It is.
And that's your driving force. You need to just be like, yes, I'm chasing greatness. And the fact that you're instilling that into your employees, and being upfront and honest with them, and saying, look, if you're going to be part of this team, you're going to be along for the ride. You need to understand what our ultimate goal is.
Yes.
And our ultimate goal is for you to learn, grow, and then move on to your next thing. And that's an awesome thing. We're excited about that.
Yep.
Too often, I think, as business owners, sometimes you get stuck in this rut of, oh, well, this employee is really, 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 really good for me. I can't ever lose them. But sometimes we don't take the opportunity to say, yeah, but this employee, what are their hopes and dreams?
Yeah.
What do they want to go after and accomplish? And if we could turn that and say, look, you're here to learn and grow so that you can go after and achieve your dreams. I want to dream with you, dream big with you, and I want to see you succeed and excel. And if it happens to be that that's within our organization, awesome. And if it's not, awesome. I got to be part of your journey. So in my mind, true leadership is understanding that every opportunity you have to help somebody else grow into the next version of themselves is a success,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
And it sounds like you're grabbing hold of that idea or concept and with both hands and going, let's go,
Oh
let's do
yeah.
this.
Yeah.
So I love that. Absolutely fantastic. Well, I hope everybody who's listening in really honed in onto that. If you noticed when Cory said his purpose, it was, yeah, and he's kind of holding back, and then he said it, and he's like, I'm chasing greatness, right? So I hope that you will do the same, and whatever your purpose is, go after and get it done. And guess what? There's going to be those that oppose you. That's okay. That just means that they're not in line with what you're doing. Doesn't mean they're not a good person and a great person and going to go accomplish great things on their own. It just means that they're not in line with what you're trying to do, and that's totally fine. Because guess what? There's people out there that are dying to be part of this.
Yep.
Like you mentioned, I wish this was for everybody. I would beg to differ that most companies are not for everybody.
Yeah.
And it's not because what you're going after and accomplishing this amazing thing that anybody and everybody would want to be part of. It's that every single company has its own culture, its own set of core values, if you will. So here at Elite, we think of vision as three things. When we're talking through with business owners and we're talking to them about their vision, we say, hey, vision is purpose, values, and mission. So your purpose is your why. That's why you do what you do. That's why you get out of bed in the morning. Your values, that's who you are and how you show up in every situation in life. And then your mission, that's this awesome destination that you're pre-deciding, hey, in the next 3, 4, 5 years, this is where we're going to go. And this is where we're going to arrive at. And then you have some mission goals, which are the metrics behind that to determine, hey, once we've arrived, we know without a shadow of a doubt we've arrived. We've accomplished all these things, so there's no doubt in our minds that we've arrived, right? And that vision is so crucial. We also teach that there's only really 3 jobs of a leader. So our leadership model is this: as a leader, it's your job to set the vision. Then it's to build the team, and then it's to deliver results. Those 3 things are really the only things that you need to focus on. And then in the middle of that, all that kind of ties them all together is this idea or concept of care.
Yes.
Now, when you think of care, you got to think of 2 things. You got to think of, hey, I got to care about the purpose, what it is that I'm going after and doing. But I also got to care about the individual.
Mm-hmm.
And just listening to you talk about your team and your hopes and dreams for them, I can tell already that you care about the individual. Not only the individual person that you're making the deals with, the end user, because of this deal that you're helping, the community as a whole, but also each of your employees. You're caring about them individually. And that's what ties it all in together. And that's what makes a good leader, is setting that vision, building the team, bringing them along, choosing the right people, making sure once you choose them, they're in the right seat on the bus, and giving them all the tools and necessary to continue to grow and develop and learn. And then delivering results is not about you going after and doing all the work. It's you saying, hey, what strengths within my company and these individuals do we have to leverage, and what strengths do we need to develop? And as a leader, it's my job to ensure that they have everything necessary to be successful. And that's how I'm delivering results. So as we walk through this and we think about it, those are the 3 things that you need to be focusing on as a leader. And it sounds like, Cory, man, you're already doing it.
Well, I love that. And thank you, John. As you know, right? Like leadership it's not easy, and sometimes like you make decisions and not everyone's going to be happy about it. And how do you navigate that? And how do you get a team from kind of all over, from different backgrounds, and I like you said, like I really do care about every single one of them, and because that's my purpose. Like my why is their why now, is seeing their why come to fruition, and our vision is the to have our own version of the PayPal mafia, the PayPal mafia that's with Elon Musk and all the
Yeah,
greatness
yeah.
that came out of that company when they built it, right? It's like that's what I want to do. I don't want to, if I see, and there's many on our team who I feel that they will outgrow the company one day, and that I think that's the point of it, is to be ready to move on, and for me, I rather not keep someone trapped, and if because like the thought I was thinking, which is turning to be true, actually is and I've always been told that you can't build a company, you can't hire entrepreneurs, which is true. Right, you have to partner with them and align with
Right.
them. So but I realized that we're not going to build this company with just 9 to 5 employees, even though you probably could if you took the time to really dig hard for the right people. But for myself, I was like, man, we have substantially less resources than most of our competitors, and less knowledge, less experience in this industry. So how do we even compete, right? And the way I realize is that we need high caliber people with a lot of horsepower and a lot of courage, and ambition and drive, and it's taken us a little while to kind of sift through and find that. But I realize we need that. We need the entrepreneur spirit, like more as entrepreneurs, right? Developing to get this company off the ground and able to, hopefully one day compete. And we're all a mature, ironed out company, maybe publicly traded, maybe backed by a publicly traded company. I don't know, but by that time, I think I know I will be a lot further removed, and the company won't need the same team it needs today. I feel,
Right.
you know. So
Yeah. Awesome.
we're just here to build, develop, and set it up for the next round. The team that's going to take it to the next level, and then hopefully we'll be off. On our own version, the Keiko Mafia, is what we call it. Our own
There you
version of
go.
greatness. Starting businesses, investing out there, providing value to the world from what we built together, and always side by side. But yeah,
Right.
that's the dream. That's the vision.
Wow. What a beautiful dream. What a beautiful vision. Oh, Cory, this has just been an absolute pleasure having you on the show today. Thank you so much for taking the time to meet with us. I hope everybody who's listening in really paid attention, because he clued in on a lot of key things that really are the building blocks for success. And if you take action on those things, caring about the individual, caring about the purpose, caring about this vision, and then living it day in and day out, and then helping others realize their potential and realize that same vision and dream and purpose, and you're attracting those same people, and they're bought in on that, man, that's where you actually see the change. Just awesome. Love that. So those of you out there who are really interested in what Cory's all about and what he's trying to accomplish at Keiko Capital, Cory, what's the best way for them to reach out to you and your company?
Well, social media is probably the best nowadays. Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. And my personal is Cory.Nemoto. So at Cory.Nemoto. I'm not that hard to find out there. But yeah, feel free, message me. It does take me a little while to go through my messages sometimes, but because I really actually do run my social media. Um, but send me a message. I want to hear your story, and I love entrepreneurship. I live for this. I
Awesome.
realize. So thank you, John, again for allowing me the opportunity to tell my story and share my vision with the company. It means a lot to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that we're creating some value here. So those of you who are listening in, if you heard something today that you're like, yeah, I need to do that, I would just beg and plead with you, please take action. Because it's not until we take action that we start to see results. And a lot of times we're scared because we're like, hey, but I'm not sure if this is going to work. That's okay. If it doesn't work out, you're going to learn a lot from it, and you're going to be ready for the next thing to go after and attack. So please, please, please take some action today so you can realize your dreams and your hopes and your potential. For those of you who heard something today, you're like, hey, I know somebody that could really value from what was talked about today. Please share this podcast. Let's create as much value to as many people as we possibly can. Well, it's been another great episode of the 7-Figure Journey podcast. For those of you listening, thank you for listening in. And until next time, take care.